So guys, you know the situation with this Steelers roster heading into camp. There's a few spots that just don't feel fully settled yet. Inside linebacker depth, that backup safety spot, right guard, and honestly, the receiver room too. And instead of just running it back with what they've got and hoping it works out, there's a real chance Omar Khan picks up the phone one more time before camp starts. And I've been going through the free agent board, and there's a few names still sitting out there that genuinely make sense for this roster. Guys with real starting experience, guys with actual ties to guys already in that building. So stick around because I'm going to break down exactly where I think Pittsburgh still needs help, who's still available, and the one name I think makes the most sense if they end up making a move. What's up, Steelers fans? Welcome back to the Steelers channel. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So let's start on defense because honestly, guys, I think this is where the biggest question mark is sitting right now, and that's inside linebacker. Look, this rotation is not bad, but it's not settled either, and I think that's the difference. Patrick Queen, he's a solid player, especially when he's in a scheme that fits him, but he's not a guy that's going to carry a defense by himself. Payton Wilson, I actually think he's got the most upside of anybody in that room, but he's still unproven. We haven't seen a full season out of him yet. Cole Holcomb is a guy who sets a good floor when he's out there, but the problem is he's never healthy, and you can't plan around a guy who's constantly banged up. And then you got Malik Harrison, who's a solid run defender. I mean, he gets off blocks, he's physical, but in pass coverage, he just can't hang with anybody. So when you add all that up, that's a room full of question marks, and I think that's exactly why Pittsburgh should still be looking at another depth piece here. And honestly, guys, there's a name still out there that I think makes way too much sense, and that's Landon Roberts. We all remember him. Steelers fans wanted him back last offseason, and instead he ends up signing in Las Vegas. Now he's a free agent again, still sitting on the market. And I'll be honest with you, I think Pittsburgh messed this one up. I think Landon Roberts is a better version of what Malik Harrison already gives you. Same kind of big-bodied linebacker who's physical against the run, gets after it downhill, and yeah, he's not great in coverage either, but if you're going to roster that style of linebacker anyway, why not go get the guy who does it better? And on top of that, you could actually move on from Malik Harrison, save yourself some cap space, and bring in a guy who already knows this locker room. He was here when Patrick Queen and Payton Wilson first got here, so the chemistry's already built in. To me, that's just a clean, easy move if Pittsburgh wants to make it.
Now, let's shift over to safety, because honestly, guys, out of everything we're going to talk about today, I think this one might be the most urgent. And it's not because the starters are bad, because they're not. DeShon Elliott and Jaquan Brisker, that's a legit starting duo. I got no complaints there. My issue is what happens behind them. There is no depth that I actually trust right now, and that scares me a little, because all it takes is one injury to either one of those guys, and suddenly you're exposed at a spot that can really hurt you. Now, I already know somebody's going to bring up Jalen Ramsey here like, well, he can just slide back to safety. And sure, technically he can. We saw him do it last year. But honestly, he wasn't nearly as impactful back there as he was playing that nickel role earlier in the season. When he's closer to the box, he's disruptive. He can blitz, he can affect the run game. He's just a problem for offenses. But when you push him deep, you lose a lot of that impact. So I really don't want to see Pittsburgh leaning on that as their answer. I want Jalen Ramsey staying right where he's most valuable for as long as he's healthy. So, if he does go down, or if Pittsburgh wants to keep running that too-high look with a big nickel body in there, somebody's got to step into that role. And right now, I don't think they've got a natural answer. Maybe it's Dalen Everett. Honestly, he might be capable of it, but right now, he's actually listed as a corner, not a safety. Brandon Echols, I just don't think he's ready for that job yet. And look, I know some of you are going to bring up Darnell Savage, but I'll be straight with you. I don't have much trust in him at this stage. He's constantly banged up, and when he is out there, he's getting beat way too often. I hope he proves me wrong, genuinely, but that's just where I'm at with him right now. Then you got Sebastian Castro, second-year guy. He spent a lot of time on the practice squad last year, actually got poached by another team for a bit before Pittsburgh brought him back. He's smart. You can tell watching him. He understands the defense, but physically he's still limited. Maybe he goes out there this preseason and proves he's ready. That would solve a lot of problems. But if that doesn't happen, I think Pittsburgh needs to go get a veteran here because this spot is too important to leave uncertain.
And there's actually some decent names still floating around out there.
Donovan Wilson available, Jabril Peppers, who was actually on this roster last year and played well when they needed him at safety, he's still out there too. Xavier Woods, longtime vet, still unsigned. Jordan Poyer, who's got a real close relationship with Aaron Rodgers, played well for Buffalo last year when they needed safety help. And then Jimmy Ward, who started at free safety for years, he's still sitting there too. But if I had to pick one, I'm going with Donovan Wilson. This guy started for multiple seasons, played under Mike McCarthy, was a full-time starter as recently as this past season. He's played a ton of meaningful football, and if Jaquan Brisker or DeShon Elliott goes down, I think he slides right in as that steady veteran presence you can trust. Realistically, I think he already knows he's not a guy who's going to walk into a starting job somewhere else at this point in his career, so a backup role here in Pittsburgh, I think he'd take that in a heartbeat. All right, let's move to the offensive line now, specifically right guard, because this is a spot where I don't think anybody's actually proven anything yet. Right now, you got Spencer Anderson, Brock Hoffman, and Jennings Dunker all kind of competing there, and none of them have really shown they're a locked-in starter. Spencer Anderson's only started a handful of games at guard in his whole career, and honestly, it's been up and down. Some okay stretches, some rough ones. Brock Hoffman, he's been fine when he's played, but he was a backup for most of his time in Dallas. And Jennings Dunker, he's actually coming over as a converted tackle out of Iowa, so he's still adjusting to the speed of playing inside against NFL defensive linemen. That's a lot to ask of a guy to just walk in and be just starting right guard right away. So honestly, I think this is a spot where bringing in a veteran actually makes sense. James Daniels is still out there, former Steeler, obviously dealt with some brutal injury luck, tore his Achilles here in Pittsburgh and then tore something else last year too. Mekhi Becton, he was really good at right guard a couple years back with Philadelphia, took a step back last season though. Kevin Zeitler, he's bounced around a bunch of teams, but he's a very experienced, very solid guard wherever he's gone. Andres Pete was actually here last year, so bringing him back wouldn't be the craziest idea either. And Greg Van Roten, been a starting guard in this league for a while now too. But my pick here, and I know this might surprise a few of you, it's James Daniels. When he's healthy, he's genuinely a really good starting guard. I know the injury history is scary, back-to-back major ones, but if he comes back right, he's already got experience playing next to Zach Frazier from that short stretch back in 2024. I wouldn't hate bringing him back in as that steady, experienced presence up front if his body allows it. Now, before I wrap this up, I do want to touch on one more spot, and that's receiver, because I think this one's sneaky important. Now listen, I genuinely think Pittsburgh would rather not sign another veteran wideout. I think the plan right now is for Jeremy Bernard and Roman Wilson to step up and actually become real weapons for Aaron Rodgers this year. But here's the thing, guys. What if that doesn't happen? Roman Wilson struggled to really get on the same page with Rodgers last year. The timing wasn't right, the route running wasn't matching up, and we all know Aaron Rodgers tends to click better with veteran receivers than young ones. That's just kind of been the pattern with him. So if Jeremy Bernard and Roman Wilson aren't clicking by the end of camp, I do think Pittsburgh looks outside for help. And there's actually some real names still out there. Stefon Diggs is unsigned, put up over 1,000 yards last year for a team that made the Super Bowl. Tyreek Hill's still out there too. Deebo Samuel, somebody Pittsburgh's actually shown real interest in before. He could be that guy if Jeremy Bernard not fully ready for a starting role. DeAndre Hopkins still available, Noah Brown and Brandon Cooks, both guys who played under Mike McCarthy before. Allen Lazard's out there too, connection to Aaron Rodgers obviously, and then Curtis Samuel and Adam Thielen round out that list. But out of everybody, I think Tyreek Hill would be the most fun. If he's fully healthy and can pass a physical, that speed alongside DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman with Aaron Rodgers throwing it, that's a scary trio. But realistically, my gut says Pittsburgh doesn't end up signing a receiver at all. I think Jeremy Bernard and Roman Wilson show enough in camp that the front office feels comfortable rolling with what they've got. So that's where I'm at, guys. Linebacker depth, that backup safety spot, right guard, and receiver if things go sideways, those are the areas I'm watching closest heading into camp. Let me know down in the comments which one of these you think Pittsburgh actually moves on before camp opens, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.